Welcome to Concerning the Spiritual in Art, a podcast exploring spirituality, consciousness, and the creative process. I'm your host, Martin Benson. All right, y'all, welcome back to the podcast. Today, I have an amazing conversation with visual artist Andrew Humke. His work is just so absolutely incredible. These beautiful sort of geometric tessellations that kind of harken to sacred sites, architectural spaces. They speak a lot to sacred geometry in beautiful ways. These kind of motifs that he's been really attracted to sort of stem from his research and investigation of different sacred sites and cultural artifacts from all over the globe. We just had a beautiful conversation about his sort of inspiration, the creative process, and also like his sort of emergent connection with his own spirituality and how he found that within his studio practice. Just a really amazing conversation. His work is absolutely incredible, and you're really going to enjoy this dialogue. So here you go, Andrew Humke. All right, Andrew Humke, welcome to the podcast, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm super pumped to connect with you. I was talking with you just a second ago. You're kind of a mysterious dude. Like there's not a lot of information about you, but I've been following your art on social media for at least a few years and just immediately drawn to the work that you're making. And I'm just so curious to learn about like who you are and your practice. Like a lot of your art kind of reminds me of like sacred geometry, like kind of Islamic tessellations, like architectural elements, you luminous color. Your compositions are super like meditative and kind of like sometimes even hypnotic, the way they draw you into these incredible spaces. But I don't know much else about like who you are, where this work's evolved from. And so today I just think a good way to start is maybe to learn a little bit about your journey and sort of about your thought process and the work that you're currently making and kind of how where that's evolved from a little bit.
Yeah, man. So I guess in the past, or I kind of started in the direction that I'm going with my work. Maybe like 8 years ago, I started started taking form. I'm kind of obsessive with symbols, or I kind of began obsessing over symbols and shapes and things like that, and repetition.
Yeah.
A lot of repetition and just creating architecture with motif and ornament.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's kind of been it's been a slow process, and then just I don't know. I think maybe I kind of pivoted a little bit since I moved to Austin and kind of like simplified some things in my work, and it really changed a lot about the direction I'm currently going.
That's exciting how a place can kind of influence you, and make you change.
Man, it really I don't know. It's very like I try and think like as you're working, I don't know, you see things in your paintings that you think, oh, this can be multiple things. This can be create multiple artworks with. And I find that it's been really just I don't know, just like a big event.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, man, it's kind of moved slowly, but I'm very excited about what the possibilities of my work could be.
Definitely, dude. I know the same feeling. It's like where you see within an artwork like seeds that you're like, I wonder if I like sprout these over here and kind of explore this a little deeper, like more imagery, more artworks can like come out of that. And that's a really exciting space to be in because you start to see that there is, although like you have a certain kind of approach and focus, there's kind of an infinite terrain of exploration within that, which I think helps. Because I think as artists, sometimes it can be frustrating when we're not sure like which direction to go or like we don't have the inspiration. But like if you're creating work that's kind of almost like sprouting inspiration for all these other works. It's like a really fruitful creative place to be in. So that's super exciting for you to like feel that about your work. I'm curious, like just reverting back, you say you're kind of interested in like repetition and pattern and kind of like these like ornaments and architecture. Like, where do you feel like your inspiration for those things derive? Do you like to explore like architectural elements and different cultures? And like, is that something that like you're kind of like investigating and sort of
Yeah.
researching? Can you maybe tell me a little bit about like some of the things you found through that process that's inspired it?
Yeah, man. I really got interested in ancient civilizations and
Hmm.
the artwork that they create
Yeah.
and the frescoes and the churches and the temples and things like that. And it just like connected with me. So I've really been just influenced by all different types of civilizations. And then like there's these archetypes and these motifs that are so common in so many different
Yeah.
civilizations that are very just relatable to all humanity, you know? So
Oh yeah.
those are some of the shapes and elements that I try and incorporate. Like I do paint with I paint a lot of ceramic looking
Mm.
shapes and columns and things like this that everyone's
Yeah.
like, oh, this, you know, but I don't know, just trying to, but also trying to keep it very, I don't know, keep some uniqueness about it too, and some of my own kind of, I guess, thought process behind it too.
Yeah, like personalizing it,
Yeah,
because it's being
yeah,
filtered through your consciousness, like
yeah,
these kinds of inspirations. But I love how you're speaking to like there is this like kind of universality to these motifs that we see in these sacred sites from ancient civilization. Like I get the feeling, and I'm definitely not the only one who's getting this feeling, that they knew a lot more
yeah,
about reality, about consciousness, about cosmos than like we really fully know or can
yeah,
comprehend. Like I feel like there's a lot of hidden aspects, especially when it comes to like symbols, like certain symbols that are utilized or geometric patterns that are utilized within architecture or within sacred imagery and things like that. So it's something I've definitely been fascinated about because it's like obvious that like the paradigm of like what we thought ancient civilizations were about is totally being shattered right now by a
yeah.
lot of
I
amazing
agree.
technology entering the space with like lidar and like
Yeah,
I'm
man.
super
It's
fascinated with like ancient Egypt, dude, like looking at those
I
ancient
know.
pyramids, like they knew some shit. Like
Yeah,
what's
apparently there's like spire or like things like that go
yeah,
like
these
columns that are
columns that go
underneath.
like miles into the ground or like at least like a couple kilometers. Like
Yeah, man.
what the hell is going on down there?
Yeah, dude,
Um,
it's
it's
really mind blowing.
it is. And when I see like, the kind of work that you're making, it definitely speaks to this like kind of like almost like this memory, this kind of like longing to like unearth this memory or connection to like a deeper knowing that like our ancestry are as like not only individuals but like societally or culturally like they understood some things that I think we've forgotten that we are in a point in time where maybe we need to start remembering this shit and
Yeah,
understanding it. And so I think there's like this unconscious element that is perhaps coming through your work too of like memory of like deep cellular like DNA memory of like some kind of technology that is created through the way we look at patterns and certain like the way that certain spaces are crafted, like the geometries of how we like I don't know, like experience a certain type of space. And of course it's a painting,
yeah,
but when I look at it, for me, that's like I think what drew me to your work because it feels connected in a very personal and unique way, like through the lens of, Andrew Humke, like, but to some bigger ideas there. Like I just want to sit in front of them and like really soak them in because it's
thank
super
you, man.
cool, like this balance of like the personal touch and playfulness with how you use the kind of information, the symbols, the patterns, the colors. But there is something kind of primordial about it. Do you feel that way about your work when you look at it? You're like, where the hell is this coming from? But there's something going on here.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like, I don't know. I guess when you're looking at your own work forever, it like kind of like, I don't know.
It
It
distorts a little bit for
kind of,
sure.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm looking at like some of the paintings I've been working on the last 6 months, they're quite they're I've been working quite large lately,
Yeah.
or like throughout my career, and I've just started to pivot a little bit to work a little bit smaller, just for a change.
Yeah.
But like with the big works, they take so long that I'm just staring at them forever, and I'm
Mm.
like, at a certain point, it's more like some days I feel really connected to them, and some days I'm just like, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
You got
So
to jump back in there or something.
it's like super tedious stuff.
Yeah, it
They
is.
and so I try and like some days I can be working on a painting and feel disconnected from it just because
Mm.
like I'm doing I'll be doing the same thing every day over and over, which is
Yeah.
kind of cool. Like I like that aspect of like working is like going through like not like just like going through not pain, but like going through like a like challenge to like
Yeah,
do something big and intricate. So I don't
definitely.
part of like the beginning and the end are cool, and then like the middle part, we're like you're like
It's a little struggle,
painting a
you
lot.
know.
Yeah, like day to day, you have to keep.
Yeah.
But like it like when I'm thinking about the spirituality aspect of painting and like trying to apply it to myself, it's sometimes I didn't think of it as a spiritual practice, but
Mm.
the more I've gotten older and more connected with myself and like what it means, what spirituality means, it's become like a more on the forefront in the forefront of my mind
Yeah,
when I'm working.
for sure. What does spirituality mean to you, like in your life? Like, how would you like? Because I totally understand what you're communicating. I feel the same way in my life, in terms of
Yeah.
not in all things, but especially also as a creative person and someone who's working in painting. I'm curious though for you, like what is that for you, like the spirituality? Because it's like it can be so personal, right?
Yeah, man. It's really I've really been thinking a lot about it in the last few years, and it
Mm.
hasn't like I feel like as I was in my 20s or whatever, I feel like I neglected my that part of myself, like the inside of myself,
Mm.
and like what I believed in and what I like needed
Mm.
spiritually, and
Yeah.
I just kind of like didn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know
I don't know how to
exactly what you
explain it,
mean.
but like, and I don't know. I just maybe yeah. Since in the last couple years, I've maybe through people I've met or through things I've kind of read, or it's really sparked like a something something that I think I've been missing in my
Mm.
life,
Yeah,
and so I've really tried to focus on it and
that's
be
beautiful.
and like explore what it is for me because I'm still like learning about like what is like thinking about God and thinking
Hmm.
about what that means to me and like and something that's so inspiring that has been so inspiring to me about that is seeing these beautiful things that people created in honor of their like beliefs and like
Right?
these amazing like paint like frescoes and churches,
Yeah.
people who just like are just so devout in what they believe and they devote their whole life to like something incredibly and it's here forever and
Yeah.
I've been thinking about that a lot and like how I can incorporate that feeling into my painting and creating like a body of work that's like a something that means that's very very meaningful
Hmm.
for me inside, just for myself, you know.
Yeah,
And
definitely,
then
dude.
can
Oh,
hopefully connect with others too. But
definitely. I think that's how
trying,
it's done, you know?
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
when
yeah,
you are truly authentic in the way that you're connecting within yourself through the act of whatever it is you're giving in this world or creating, whatever form of action you're taking, when it comes from that place of like connection of your inner relationship, your inner life, like there's so much potency there. And like, and for
yeah,
me as an artist, and I'd imagine it sounds like you're saying the same thing. It's like art is a vehicle for us to deeper understanding of who we are and our relationship to this life and maybe like something bigger than just this individual self, you know, call it
yeah,
God or consciousness or whatever label you want to put on it. I don't think labels have anything to do with what it actually is. It's just kind of like something pointing at it or like a map to it, but it's not the thing. It's the thing is like an experience, you know?
yeah,
And
yeah,
so that
dude.
creative act is kind of initiating you into this deeper connection, which I think ultimately the results of being connected that way are going to create something that's going to connect with others because I think there's a level where we're all fully interrelated. So if you're like working from that space and really like owning your relationship with like this spirituality that is kind of driving your creative process, it's going to find its people. You know, it's not
Yeah,
going to find everybody, but it's going to find its people and it's going to make a spark and an impact. And I can say for me, as a viewer of your work, it's definitely done that for me. Like
thank you.
I am just like sucked into them. Like I got to see them in person at some point because I think the scale is
Yeah,
also really important for a lot of those works too, because the way that you're experiencing them. I'm curious, was there like a spark or like a moment where like you decided to like where like it kind of like opened a door toward like investigating your relationship to God or spirituality? Was it like a particular moment or was it like kind of a slow burn, like a percolation in the background that you just kind of slowly, you know, uncovered?
yeah, man. I think it's been more of a slow. I don't know. It's definitely ramped. It's definitely become a lot of my thought. It's become very, very much a part of my thoughts these days. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
been kind of a slow, just like intrigue into it.
Yeah.
And like, oh, like there's this whole other side that I'm. It's just whole other. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but there's this
Yeah.
whole
I
other
know what you're
side
kind of
like
getting at. Yeah.
that I haven't really like like maybe surface level I've kind of thought about it, but I haven't really like gotten too far into it. So just like releasing and or not or just like relaxing into it and
Yeah.
embracing what I don't know what
Yeah. The
I've discovered.
mystery. Yeah. There's just like, I feel like the older we get, and the more we like pay attention, you know, like the more we pay attention to reality, the more we're like, something's missing here.
There's
There's
yeah,
like,
man.
you know,
There's
especially
just
like the way our culture has gotten so hyper materialistic
yeah,
and super focused on like kind of individualistic like prowess and power and you know where it's like these things are ephemeral, these things don't last. Like they're like what's the core underneath all of this bullshit, you know? Like
yeah,
there's got to be a foundation that like maybe we're missing here and obviously we can see it play out on like in the culture of America in a lot of ways, but like so it forces you to like look within and find principles or like a sense of like a way to navigate a deeper level of like who you are. And there's so many maps and traditions that like teach you how to do that. And there's not one particular way to do it. And so when you start to open
yeah,
the doors toward exploration and learning about other cultures and their sort of spiritual practices or their spiritual cosmology, you start to like pick up kernels that like are not like you're learning new information, but almost like I knew that in some way, but like I don't
right.
know how
Yeah,
I knew that. There's
yeah,
like something innate, right? Like, is that the feeling you get too? Like when you're like reading like a book about, I mean, I don't know, depending on what spiritual tradition, doesn't matter. Like there's something there that is speaking to a level of like knowing, like I knew this somehow, or like this is like, I don't know. It's not like
Yeah.
gaining knowledge. It's more like uncovering memory of like what you innately like are a part of. That's the experience I've had. It's more like a remembering than like a it's it's not like an additive process, like I'm adding knowledge. It's more like I'm stripping away and revealing what's
Right.
always been there.
Yeah, man, that's kind of been my experience too. Just like discovering these. I don't know. I've also, I guess I've kind of been trying to figure out what my values are as a
Mm-hmm.
person, and like how I'm gonna be, how to be a better person.
Yeah.
Like when you discover this different spiritual practices or different, I don't know, belief systems, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I've just been kind of searching how to become a better person, and
Yeah.
through that, um, it's kind of opened my eyes to all these things.
Yeah.
So,
Is there
um,
any like particular tradition or spiritual like practice that like you've uncovered through like this sort of like exploratory part of your life, like that really like you've held on to and kind of tried to incorporate into your not only into your life, but into your creative process or anything like that? Anything like particular?
I mean, I'm trying to like, I don't have any, not really, nothing like, nothing too drastic. I just think about it a lot,
Yeah.
when I'm working. I think, spending my days working and painting has become like become that.
Yeah. It's become like a spiritual practice because it's very meditative. Like you have to be so
Yeah.
focused and like so much shit comes up when you're painting. You know what I mean? Like you see parts of your mind, like you kind of like see your mind in a different way, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
for sure.
and like, have you ever noticed like this gap? Like for me, like a big breakthrough and not only like in painting but just in spiritual practice in general is like a big breakthrough that happened for me a while ago was like when I started to notice this gap between like thought patterns and like this awareness that is observing those thoughts and that there's a gap there and there's not like those thought patterns are not really something to identify with or something to like point to as being me, but they're like something that's happening within this field of knowing, of awareness that is, I guess, quote unquote, me. Does that make sense? Like where you start to
Yeah,
see this like gap appear, like we're
yeah,
like crazy thoughts, good thoughts, bad thoughts, everything in between. But then there's this
I know.
spaciousness there, and you realize that like you aren't your thoughts. Your thoughts
Yes.
are things that you can grab hold of and utilize and implement in the physical world, or you can let them just pass on by because they have nothing to do with your value as an individual. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Dude,
Yeah.
yeah, I've really like that's been like a kind of a struggle for me too, like trying to trying to accept that thoughts that I have aren't me all the
Hmm.
time, And like it can really I don't know, when you work in solitude a lot,
Yeah.
it really like caters to that, like
For sure.
spiraling thoughts about, I don't know, just
Everything.
insecurities and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, just kind of realizing that throughout the years takes time, man. It's hard to like
Hmm.
really
Yeah.
not revert back to like
Yeah,
old
becoming a
ones.
slave to your thoughts, where you feel like every thought that
Dude,
comes across your
yes.
mind is a moral judgment of who you are. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like that's just not the way it works. And so like that's for me, like I remember at a point where like I really like flipped that script. It really empowered me to realize that like I have agency over like the actions that I take and the kind of energy behind those actions that I take in this life.
Yeah.
And that's so powerful. And I don't have to be a slave to like the sense of like certain thought patterns, even like negative ones, or like really horrible thoughts, like, what the fuck is that? You know,
Right.
like that's not
Yeah.
me. Like there's no value relationship there. Like it's freedom. Like for me, that was like the first step of like freedom of my own mind to realize that there's agency
Yes.
there to like you get to choose which thoughts you want to believe and implement in your life and which ones you don't. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah,
really
man.
where I think all of like spiritual practice really like crescendos to is like, what is the energy and the motivation behind the things that you do? Because like we don't
Yeah.
have control over the outcomes. We never really will. Even in painting, like we try to control the outcomes, but things come up and things happen, and you make a creative leap here and a creative leap there. And then all of a sudden you look at your artwork, you're like, I don't know how I got there. I don't know how that happened, but that's cool,
Yeah, exactly.
because there's like this mysterious element in that creative space where I think when you're really open, like you invite a greater inspiration, a greater wisdom that's inside of you to come through you. And it's just I think that's why artists in general throughout culture and time have always been kind of shamanistic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Channels of
Yeah.
energy. I mean, that's how they've been used in God, so many cultures from South America. You look at the indigenous cultures down there and the way that like, shamans operate and you look at it also in Vedic culture, even like esoteric European culture, the shamanistic culture of like Central Asia and like you can go deep and like
Yeah.
see that the artist, quote unquote, is really like also plays a role as like kind of like a mystic or a shaman in some ways. In our culture, it's kind of been hijacked by commodification and commerce and a sense of like, you know
For
what I
sure.
mean? Like we're like back
Sure.
in the
Yeah.
day, like artists, they weren't selling and like working about a paycheck. Like the culture just supported them to do what they did. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, how do we get back there?
I know, man.
How do we do
It's
that?
going the opposite direction.
It really is. But that's part of like why I love this podcast because like the more I talk with other artists like yourself, the more I realize that like we get that and we want to create something like that, but like we're kind of also
Yes.
trapped by like the paradigms of commerce, right?
Yeah,
And it's so it's a tricky way to navigate, but at the end of the day, what's most important is the work, right? Showing up
definitely. Yep.
and making the work. When you're creating, like, do you have any kind of like when you're starting a painting, like do you do like in terms of your process, like do you like sketch out compositions and kind of play around with some ideas before you go jump onto the canvas and start really executing it on a larger scale? Like what's your sort of like process for sort of like crafting these incredible compositions and imagery that you're working with?
Yeah, man. So I do a lot of drawing. I have just through sketchbooks and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of where I start. And I kind of have a rough idea. So I'll do the underpainting and all that and prepare the canvas. In the first couple weeks, it's more drawing,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the larger ones, just to get the shapes down. But yeah,
Yeah, the
man.
geometry, because you have some pretty complicated geometry and repetition and the forms. So like you really got to be, I mean, it
Yeah.
appears to me they're very precise. So you
Yeah,
got to be
man.
really locked in there.
Yeah, they can be yeah, that takes like I've said before, I mean the like once I get the drawing down and get the composition down, it's mostly like the most of the creative aspect is kind of gone
Hmm.
in a way.
Yeah.
Like I have the idea down and the drawing down, and then once I get the start using color and doing my what I think I'm going to do. I guess there's creativity in the color schemes that I want to use,
Hmm.
depending on the motif that I'm using, or like if the painting's really repetitive and it's just a like once like a lot of I guess lately I've been using just like one or two symbols and in on repeat. So I'm just
Hmm.
painting the same thing over and over again,
Yeah.
shading. So it's more just, I don't know, putting the hours in and doing that. But
Yeah. Yeah. You got to be able to execute these things with the precision. So it is a lot of drawing and kind of drafting and like,
measuring and
yeah.
things of this
Hmm.
nature. I don't know. I kind of like there are some, I guess here or there, there's a few kind of, I don't want it to be too like
Too perfect. Yeah.
too perfect, but I try my best to get it as close as I can. But um, so yeah, that's kind of my process,
Yeah.
beginning process, and then I'll play around with it as I'm going. Like, oh, this could be interesting, or
Hmm.
to add this, or I don't know, different elements if I think it's missing something, or if the colors aren't working. And that's a big part of it is making sure that the colors are working together.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I've been learning a lot about just learning about color too is really a whole other thing. Just how to mix your paints, and
Hmm.
I don't know if that's if that's the same for you, but yeah,
Oh, definitely. I mean, or do you work in oil?
I
You
do.
know,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, me too. And yeah, like you just, and also just getting to know certain pigments and like what certain pigments will do
right.
and which ones will mix well with others. Like
Yeah,
if you're doing any glazing, like understanding like the properties of those pigments for glazing and like how you can kind of like push luminosity or like slowly build up a color over multiple layers. But like, yeah, like color is for me so fascinating because it's like, it seems like it's a limited spectrum, right? You have basically, from red to violet, and then everything outside of that we can't really detect. But within that spectrum, is like infinite possibilities of
yeah,
combinations of different values of certain colors. Like, you know what I mean? The ways that certain colors will mix together, you'll find these like certain tones that are like, I don't think I've ever really used this one, but when this one's next to that one, this one just shines. Like thinking about like color theory and
yeah,
all of
man.
that. Like,
It's really
yeah, I mean, that's how I think too. Like I go in with a certain idea of like kind of the motif of the color palette, but then you got to like play with those pigments, and you intuitively, the more you get to know them, you're like, I know exactly like what I need for this color, which paint I need. And you really commune with those colors in a way. You kind of like understand your own personal language of how you use color. I love
yeah,
the way that you're using color in the work that you're using. I mean, obviously you get a lot of luminosity and light, like these like points of light and the gradients, the way that the colors are melding and like kind of working together are just so, rich. I love how you use a lot of darker values too to really illuminate those lighter values in really interesting ways.
thanks,
It's
man.
it's a really amazing like, I don't know. There's just like this warmth to them. There's also a sense of like, when I look at them, they're kind of hypnotizing. You know what I mean? Because of
Yeah,
the way you use color. Like, I want to stare at them. They feel like very meditative pieces. Like, the compositions, not all the time, but tend to be symmetrical, which for me is like an
yeah,
obsession. Like, sorry,
dude,
y'all.
same.
Like,
Yeah, man.
but
Something
like,
about like
there's
the
something about like that meditative experience of like looking at the symmetry because I mean, we just see it echoed throughout all of creation.
yeah,
It's within our own body. Like that's something I'm super fascinated about is like the way that like geometry and number are fully encoded in this sort of creative principles of everything that exists in reality. And this isn't an original thought. I mean, artists have been thinking about this forever in terms of like, just as an example, like the golden mean and Fibonacci, like the phi
right.
ratio. But like you look at like the geometric patterns that you find, especially like for me, like when I look at like Islamic mosques and the geometry utilized in those, I'm like, whoa. Or like
Yeah,
in like ancient cathedrals, like you look at those stained glass windows, those
yeah,
mandalas, the rosettes, you're like, there's just something like that is connected to a higher power when you look at those forms.
definitely. I feel the
Um,
same.
Yeah, but I think what you're doing is so amazing is that you're playing with those forms. Like you're definitely connecting them, but there's like an originality to the way that you are adapting those patterns. And to me, that's what makes them so powerful is because like there is a universality to it, but it's a paradox. Like there's also a total individualistic quality that you can harness within them as well. Both exist. Like they don't need to
Yeah.
be the same form over and over again. Like they can have like a unique and personal touch to them. And that's what I'm really fascinated by, is seeing like the infinite creative nature of like how these geometric principles can be explored, especially in contemporary painting these days.
Yeah, same here. Like I don't know, I feel like as I'm working on a painting, there's like 7 or 8 that I'm like, this there's 7 or 8 variations I could use with this same
Yeah.
shape
Yeah.
in different ways, in different compositions, and just exhausting that is very, I feel like I want to get to them all,
Yeah. I know that
like
feeling, man.
I gotta finish this one. I want to do this one and this one and this one.
There's only so much time,
Yeah, man. So
But
yeah, it's really been an obsession of mine.
yeah.
So,
Hmm.
and that's what's kind of driven my process these days, is coming up with, I don't know, like sometimes I feel like, am I using this specific motif too much, or am I like overdoing it? Do I need to switch it up? And then I don't know, maybe that's like the comes back to like the thoughts,
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. The
like,
doubt, right? Like
yeah, like
doubting mind,
sitting down
the
here.
critic, the inner critic. Yeah. It's fake.
But and then also realizing, like, in the large scheme of like this world, that I don't know, it does help me to think that like think about how little I matter in the scheme of things. And that kind of lightens me up, like,
Yeah.
about what I'm creating. And like, if I don't create this, I never will, and I might as well do it, I might as
Yeah.
well exhaust these ideas. And I feel like
Definitely.
some things I leave on the table because I don't know, I really have been trying to stick to my artistic vision more, and not like cater to like what people like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I know
Like,
exactly what you mean.
stay strong in where the direction that I want to take my work.
Definitely.
And it is kind of a battle though.
It
Like,
is, yeah, because like force, oh man, that one painting was so good. Like you need to do that one again and again. And usually it's people who, and that who are really well meaning and love your work. And it's amazing to have people who connect with certain works that you do. But a
yeah,
lot of times it's not people who are necessarily steeped in their own creative process. So they don't fully like understand like all the inner workings of what it takes to create these things and like where they come from. So you got to take those things with a grain of salt. But it makes me think of something. Do you know who Rick Rubin is? The
I
like
do.
famous
Yeah.
music producer. Like he's got that
Yeah.
amazing book, The Creative Act,
Yes.
which is so good. Definitely recommend that. But he talks a lot about like not making music for an audience. Like that's a trap. Like you make
Yeah.
it for yourself, for what you want to hear, like what you were talking about earlier. And your audience will find that because it's the authenticity that attracts people. It's the ingenuity, it's the commitment, it's like
Right.
the kind of unique vision that an artist brings that draws people in. Of course, people can paint the same image over and over again and make a great living on it and find their audience who can just like see that over and over again. And that's great. But not every artist works that way. And I think it seems to you, for you, similar to like how I feel, and a lot of people I've talked to through this podcast, like you're a seeker, like you're exploring, like you have
Yeah.
to keep pushing the boundaries. Like you can keep repeating, like, and find seeds of motifs that you can try again. I think the opportunities for that might be like if you have a certain exhibition, right? Like in this exhibition, I'm going to make a body of work that's really like exploring this element, like those are appropriate places to kind of like do like a series of 10 to 20 pieces that kind of explore this thing. But on
Yeah.
the side, you're making more and more seeds, for,
Right.
and I think that helps feed a creative process so that when you go through those moments where you're like, don't know what to do, where to go, like you look back at your old work, be like, oh, I never got to explore this. Okay, I have something to explore now. And so that's how you keep the engine going
Yeah.
because it is exhausting and it's an up and down journey, but like like you're saying at the end of the day, like we are not significant. We are significant and insignificant in the same moment. It's a paradox,
Yeah.
it's like
Right.
our logical mind can't fully like express like what that's about. So you have to like let go of like all of those things and just be the channel for what needs to come through you based on what you are attracted to or drawn to. And that's where I think the work has the most potency
Yeah.
and the most inspiration within it. And I see you doing that, man. I mean, that's why like we're here right
Thanks.
now. Like I've been following like what you're doing. I'm like, this dude is just like every like piece you do. I'm like, there's another surprising thing in there. I'm like, whoa, like that's a really cool use of
Thanks,
color. Or like,
man.
I love the way like some of
Uh,
them. There's like one piece you did where it almost reminds me of like that old school cell phone game Snake where like this thing, it's kind of like an orange and blue and red composition. It kind of moves in like a square
oh
around the
yeah.
perimeter, and it makes me think
Yeah.
of like the snake eating its tail, like the Ouroboros. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It like, and so I don't know.
Yeah,
So
man, that one's yeah, it's like sitting right over here, but
nice. But I think you're doing that. You know what I mean? Like you're doing that in your practice. And I think you definitely have the right kind of mentality like what you were expressing earlier, just about like finding that now you're making this work like for yourself.
yeah, yeah, man, and just I think just I want to devote a lot of my I just want to I just want to be I just want this to be something that I give all my energy into and and my time and my love and my and creating something beautiful
Yeah.
in the end, and that's the goal. But
Blasphemy, beauty. What?
but also
Oh,
like exploring that too, or
yeah.
I don't know, being accepting of when things don't go that way.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, you're living that life. Like you're really like, I don't know, like art has gone like, when we think of like, the role of the artist, like what I was kind of talking about earlier, how like it's kind of evolved to be this really tough thing, where like you have to like fight for your legitimacy or for your sustainability and you have to like deal with all these gatekeepers and all, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like all this process, like, and like art for a long time, like beauty, like I said, blasphemy. Cause like when you think of like postmodernism and like kind of the philosophy and theory behind that kind of underpins a lot of contemporary art in the past, few decades, like beauty was kind of, and spirituality were kind of taboo.
yeah,
But like I'm seeing that like, oh, that was a big miss, like, and I see artists now like owning it and accepting and speaking it out loud that beauty is important. You know what I mean?
yes,
Spirituality is innate to the human experience. It has nothing to do with religiosity and like it's deeper than that. And like artists have always been connected with that kind of tradition. So like we need to like reclaim that and like reclaim that role in a lot of ways. And I see it happening. I see so many artists out there who are doing that and making, I mean, I think it's a very exciting time for painting. There's just so many amazing things
yeah,
happening
I
there.
agree.
And I think we need to unify with each other. You know what I mean? I don't know like the mechanisms of like the best way to build sustainability across large swaths of artists, but there's got to be ways to do this.
Yeah, I
Because I
agree.
think what you're doing is so important. It's so important for our culture to have people who are moving against the current of the rat race and like the achievement of like cultural status through money or power, to see people who are just like in their garage, kind of cold, working away hours on end at creating beauty and spiritual energy. Like, what is more important than that? Because everything else is ephemeral, dude. Like,
Yeah.
whatever riches you kind of create in your life, like you're still going to end up, with the worms and the dirt. You know what I mean?
You're
Like,
right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
The
man.
sun will explode at some point. Like, so like, what are we actually doing? And I think there's an energy that like you contribute to this greater field of consciousness through doing what you do and what all these other artists are doing that is bigger than just this one life or bigger than just this one planet even. It gets a little heady for some people to go there, but I deeply feel that. There's
I do
something
too.
really powerful going on.
Yeah, and like I think no matter what you have to do, you always if you're a painter or whatever, you always have that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
as your security in your life, kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, you just like this place where like
It's a
you
place
can
where you can,
fully be
yeah,
yourself.
exactly. And like
Yeah.
if everything falls apart in my life or whatever,
Yeah.
I always have this here to like
Exactly.
harness myself into
Exactly.
as like my foundation. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a little dramatic, being a little dramatic, but
No, but I know what you mean. Like it's so powerful. Like there's a reason humans have been like creating since, I don't know, as far back as we know. I mean, probably even further back than we even know, but like because it's if there's anything that separates us from like the animal world in the kingdom, it's like the fact that we create for the sake of creating. You know what I mean? Like there's
yeah,
not a utilitarian purpose to these paintings that we're making. You can't eat them. You can't hide from the winter storm in them, like you
right.
can't, I guess you can make a fire out of them. You can burn them. But, you know what I mean? Like, wow, there's something special there. Like, why
Yeah,
why do we have this as, human species? Why do we have this impetus to create beauty and meaning, you know? Um,
definitely.
it's just powerful stuff. And, like one thing I love about your work too, and I don't know, like ultimately, like in a gallery or like in a exhibition kind of setting, like when you get to share them with other people, like if you show them this way or if you stretch them, but like I'm like looking over the corner of your shoulder, like just the edges of your painting, like where you're wiping your brush off and like seeing kind of this mark that's happening that has nothing to do with the composition. Like, has that something you've always done? Like, do you show that, like when you show the piece, like, are that you seeing that in relationship to the finished work?
Yeah, so it kind of depends on if I'm I guess it depends on where I'm showing it. Like sometimes they'll stretch
Yeah.
them, but I prefer to leave that because I do like it. I just kind of I don't know how I started doing that, but just to like wipe my brush off if there was too much paint and I didn't have anything else to wipe it on, just
Yeah.
kind of laziness.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it kind of I just kind of like do it, and it does add something, some sort of, I don't know, it's kind of just something I do. I didn't,
Yeah.
and late or in the past, I had been working on the floor. Like I started working on the walls lately because of my back.
Yeah. I bet,
Like,
dude.
like working on the floor and just like walking around them and stuff. And I kind of liked that like connection, like circling a painting and working on it and
Hmm.
having it unstretched and um but yeah, that's just part of my, I guess it's just part of my how I work,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
love it. I think there's something kind of really interesting about it because there's a juxtaposition there between like the order and like the
Yeah.
labor intensive pattern and the precision and all of that, and then you just see like kind of the chaos of like the marks on the
Yeah.
side, that like speak to me the process or like shows me like the artist working and like the amount of times you've had to wipe your brush for every mark you make to get the paint just right on the brush to get the
Yeah.
mark you need. There's like a nice like kind of tension there between those two things. So I really enjoy that. Like I love that kind of just didn't really you didn't have an intention behind it. There was no real, it was just more practical for you.
Yeah,
But like to me, there's something kind of really, there's a conversation that's really interesting there too in relation to the imagery, because it kind of shows the artist a little bit in a different light, because these works are like, they have so much like precision and like, development in the layers of how you build the color up and build the imagery up. Like it's just, I think it's really kind of an exciting part of it. It's like, even if they stretch it, like I would want to see that like on the sides of the
yeah,
stretch, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't want to hide that, but people, I guess
yeah. I
when,
mean, like for the most part, that's how they're displayed, kind of like a tapestry. They're kind of displayed like tapestry
Mhm.
style, and you can see the borders. And for the most part, that's how it just depends here and
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Well, I
I
love
do
it. I
think
think it's cool.
so do I. I like having that little bit of yeah, like you said, it's like the inside's a little bit more finished, and then having some sort of chaos too, but not
Yeah.
necessarily within the painting itself, but
Yeah.
you can see the yeah, all of it
Yeah.
coming together kind of.
Definitely. No, it works really well. It's super cool to see that. Do you staple them? So you staple them, you stretch them, staple them to the wall. Do you gesso them on the wall and like kind of, or
Yeah.
do you paint on like ungessoed canvas and like stain it and slowly build it? Or do you like put a ground down?
Yeah, like I'll like for the ones that I do on the floor, I'll just paint gesso it and
Yeah.
put layers. But yeah, for the ones on the wall, I'll staple them,
Hmm.
staple it, or make the border and staple it, and then um, just gesso, a couple layers of gesso, and then
Yeah.
staple it to the to the
Yeah.
drywall.
Yeah, dude. Well,
Jeez.
it's really good way to do it too, like for scale, like, you don't have to worry about like the stretcher bars and like building these, especially for
Yeah,
large scale
man.
works, like building these like big stretcher bars that are rigid enough and like supported enough that they'll like won't warp or anything. Like you don't have to think about that. You can,
Yeah, man. It's
scale's not
been
an issue.
yeah.
Smart.
That's part of the like especially with the big ones. If I have to transport them, I can just roll them up. Well, I have to
Yep.
we'll let them dry first, but I can roll them up and take them or ship them if I need to.
Yeah, that's easy too, right? Like way
Yeah.
easier to ship those or transport them
Yeah.
in that
So
way. So yeah. I
I
mean,
don't
I
know, but I
think
also like I like to feel the hardness behind it,
yeah. Yeah.
the paint, just so I can sometimes to like get my gradients or whatever, like have a hard surface to for the brush
Yeah,
stroke.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I used to do. I used to take canvas and for like a previous body of work, I used to take canvas and I would glue it to a panel because
Oh,
I was
okay.
doing
Nice.
for the same reason, like getting those gradients, like you have like something kind of a little bit more rigid to like pull that paint together on and stuff like
Yeah.
that to get that, rigidity to it. So I totally know exactly what you mean about like the contact of the brush to the surface, how it's different than the bounce of like a stretched canvas sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's been I don't know. I've considered stretching or trying to. I feel like you get this. There's two different aspects. Like you get a very unique tone with your colors with the on this like those paintings behind you. Are those stretched over stretcher bars or are
No, those
they?
are the canvas glued to like a wood
Oh,
panel.
those are. Oh, I
Yeah.
see. All right.
Yeah. And
So
then the
you're.
new ones that I'm making, this is from like an older body work. This really isn't my studio. This is just like at my house, like a little,
Oh,
I kind of
cool.
hold pieces here, but I have a studio on campus where I teach. And so like
Oh, nice.
all my like latest body work stuff's there. And I do just stretched canvas for those just because they're lighter and I'm
Yeah.
using like different new materials. I'm doing a different kind of like process, like adding stones into the, ground stones into like the
Oh,
physical
really?
paint, and stuff
How's
like
that
that.
going? How do you like
Dude,
that?
Dude, it's awesome. It's been transformative, man. I've always been obsessed with gemstones,
Nice.
like for most of my life. Just like they're so beautiful, but also they're like very special and
Yeah.
used in a lot of ancient relics and sites. All these like
Yeah.
crystals and stones are super important. And so I'm just kind of like experimenting with ways of like using the physical stone with the paint.
Wow. That
Um,
sounds sweet, man.
doing like glazing process, like with quartz crystal. I created these like kind of transparent quartz crystal like glaze layer that then I'll glaze
Oh,
color on top of. So there's like quartz crystal in the bottom that light hopefully will hit. I
dude,
don't know. I'm being all
that
weird and
sounds
shit.
wild, man. That
It's
sounds
fun,
awesome.
dude. Yeah,
I
they're
gotta
super
check
cool.
it
So they're
out.
very physical and textural in person.
Sick.
So like the lighter canvas and the stretcher bars like make sense because they're going to be heavier ultimately. So like I don't want the whole thing to
Yeah,
be too heavy.
I
But yeah,
see.
it's just cool, like the practical things we do as artists too. Like that's what I think is important for people to understand is like not only is it the image making, but it's also like thinking about like how they're displayed or thinking about how they're experienced is really important. But then also thinking about the practical material technology, like
Hmm.
how certain materials work together and how to build the surfaces up. Like there's just so much to being an artist and I think it's hard to like fully express that to people who aren't like working and making that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, dude, I just think what you're doing is really special. There's something really powerful in them, and I really hope one day I get to see them in person because I think the scale. I think it's good to work small too from time to time just to switch it up. But like, I think a lot of the imagery of what you're doing, that scale, like speaks to the architectural kind of spatial experience, of them that
Yeah,
like almost like relates to your physical body and like draws you into them in a really like powerful way. Like scale's really an important thing to consider depending on the work you're
it
making,
is.
you
Yeah,
know?
man. Dude,
Yeah.
yeah, like working, I've been trying to work small, like I said, smaller these days, and it's really been like I feel like I'm like relearning something. It's
Yeah. It's different,
difficult, like
smaller
how to,
spaces.
like trying to figure out how the compositions that I've been drawing, the compositions that I've been drawing, like how do they translate into a small painting, and can they, and also like playing it like a lot of the big paintings, I feel like there's sections where I can create little small works based off of the big ones and like
Yeah,
brother and sister them together,
definitely. Yeah. Oh
create
yeah.
little side small works. But it's been yeah, like working small has been
Yeah. Sometimes it's
a
harder to
learning
work
experience.
small,
it is,
and it
man.
takes more time,
Dude, I
like
have a
feel
lot of
like
I have a lot of respect for, like, yeah, it is a different beast, man. And
yeah, it's a different
yeah,
experience because when you work large,
yeah,
like your whole body can be involved in these marks and
yeah,
movements. You know what I mean? But when you're working
yep.
small, you're like punching in.
Right. Yeah, man.
It's different for
Trying to
sure. Well, man, I think it's amazing, like kind of the way that these are evolving. Do you have any shows coming up or anything like on the docket, or are you just
um
kind of in this like real like creative kind of like development space right now in this body of work?
yeah, at the moment I don't really have anything on the books. I had a show. The last show I had was in March, so like I guess about a year ago, or mid-March of
Mhm.
25, where I showed about five of my newer paintings.
Awesome.
But yeah, nothing really, just kind of, yeah, pivoting a little bit in the scale, and just kind of been in the studio, man, just
Yeah,
staying ready,
exactly. That's how I
staying
feel
ready,
too.
making
Yep.
work, trying to making work, and if an opportunity comes for me, like to have a show or whatever, yeah, I'm still trying to like get into the scene in Austin here. I'm kind of, I don't know. I need to get better at that aspect of like my career, and like
Yeah.
being a little more outgoing in that way. I can kind of get to like a like hermit kind of way
Yeah,
in the
yeah, you're a
studio, but
painter, dude. Like that's how I am too. I'm like an ambivert. Like I need that introversion, Like I can
yeah,
go out there and I can chat. Obviously, I do a podcast, like I can talk
yeah,
and like be extroverted, but like I need that like hermit or like that kind of like solitary, mindset,
Yeah.
like being in the studio and just like being isolated and just like deep into the work. Like that's the most important thing, is making the work, and then it'll find its way, where it
Yeah.
belongs in time. I feel strong about that. But like I think as artists we can all be better at, like, because like we don't typically, like, some artists are really good at self promotion and like really getting
Yeah.
out there, and some just
Sure.
aren't. And like we need help from people who are good at that stuff. But it's tricky. But I firmly believe as long as you keep making the work and really being authentic and in your practice and devoted and consistent, like it will find its way. It has to. Just don't know
Thank
when
you.
it will be. Just got, like you said, you just got to be ready. Like,
Just got to be ready. Yeah.
yeah, the moment comes and you're not ready, then there it goes. So that's
and
what it's,
making
that's
and
step
making
one.
interesting things. Yeah, man. I appreciate
Yeah.
it, man. I really do.
Yeah. It's been great having you on the podcast. I mean, we've been going for about an hour right now. And I'm just really grateful to you for taking the time to share with me about your work and learn more about you. I think it's really exciting what you're up to. And everybody out there, Andrew does have an Instagram. I'll put stuff in the show notes so you can follow his work and see the development of this amazing stuff that he's doing. And we'll definitely stay in touch. And
Yeah,
if I make it to Austin anytime soon, I would love to check out the studio and see these things in person. So
of
you and I
course,
will
man.
definitely be in contact. So
Thank you
uh,
so much. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate the support um and just your community and being a part of this and
yeah,
thank you.
man,
I
for
appreciate
sure, dude. Thank you. Right back at you, brother. We'll talk
it.
soon. All right.
All right, we'll talk soon. Sounds good.
Peace. Thank you all so much for tuning into this episode of Concerning the Spiritual and Art. If you like what we're doing here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can stay in touch and in tune with all the amazing offerings that we're going to be bringing to this channel. Thanks again for all your support. Super grateful. And yeah, excited to bring more content your way. Peace, y'all.